shifting sands of the Middle East have once again placed Israel at a critical crossroad. Following the collapse of the Assad regime in Syria, the situation on Israel's northern border has become increasingly tense. Rebel forces have moved swiftly to take control of areas once held by the Syrian army, including the buffer zone near the Golan Heights and parts of the Hermon Mountain. In a decisive response, the IDF's Northern Command has activated emergency plans, taking over the Hermon buffer zone and deploying tanks and infantry units along the Alpha line to prevent potential incursions into Israel. Israel's actions suggest it is stepping into a new role as the de facto police of this region. This weekend, we're heading up north to Manara Ridge, which is a strategic point on Israel's border with Lebanon that offers a clear view of the Syrian Mount Hermon buffer zone that Israel has captured. Good morning. So I'm at the David Harp Hotel in the Sea of Galilee, right next to Capernaum. And we came here to see firsthand the situation on the northern border between Israel and Lebanon and Israel and Syria, especially now after the Assad regime collapsed. Good morning. Good morning, Yair. We're just packing up before heading to the north, and check this out. It's called shakshuka. Okay, shakshuka is a morning Israeli dish that has eggs and tomatoes in it. It's really, really common in Israel. And also in Israel, in the morning you eat a lot of salads. You need to eat a good breakfast before we start the day. And we're gonna go up north, check out the situation on the border between Israel and Syria. Tomer only comes here for the food, by the way, you know.
Tell me only for the cheese.
Hotel is fully booked. The north is fully booked.
Yeah.
The war's over.
And it's really nice to see this hotel, you know, working at full capacity, because we were, I mean, you definitely were since the early stages of this place being built. What was it?
It's been in construction for quite a few years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And during the war, the place went from being a skeleton to an operating hotel.
How many rooms does it have?
280 something.
I think it's the biggest hotel in the Galilee.
It's a very nice hotel.
I'm really interested in seeing, just, you know, even feeling the situation on the northern border with Syria to understand what's happening there. That's a completely new country forming in front of our eyes.
I think it's hard for people at home. I hope we can have the footage to explain later.
Yeah.
We're sitting on the northwestern side of the Sea of Galilee. I'm looking that direction, due east. My sister lives on the hilltop over there with her kids. A couple kilometers from her house is Syria.
Imagine before 67, this was Syria.
That was Syria.
These mountains were Syria.
What's amazing is a week ago, it was Bashar al-Assad Syria.
Yeah.
And
now
it's HTS.
HTS, the tech company, terrorist
El-Julani Syria. It's also interesting to me how repetitive history is.
Yeah. We
filmed in Give is a kibbutz on the, I guess, southeastern side of the Sea of Galilee, over there. We filmed with, he's like the historian of the kibbutz movement, Mukitzul. They described this like when my parents were already alive. They would sit there until 73.
And the Syrians would sit
and
look at them.
The Syrians would shell them. Not look at them, they would shell them as they were working in the fields.
Wow.
They would shell them in their fields.
And they had the high ground.
They had the high ground. They were on the Golan Heights. Yeah. We didn't have them, and only there did we get them.
And that's why the IDF is doing what it's doing now, taking control of the high ground in Syria, in Lebanon, and creating this real buffer zone without the UN peacekeeping forces.
What's the saying? In the Middle East, the ceasefire is only as strong as you are.
Yeah.
If you project power, then there's a ceasefire. If you project weakness,
that's it. There's a war.
You're following Assad and his family.
Yeah, he projected weakness. Hezbollah was weak, and the rebels took advantage of the opportunity. Okay, so let me, go back a little bit. So the IDF has been operating against Hezbollah in Lebanon for more than 2 months, crippling Lebanon, neutralizing all their leadership, all their infrastructure, and basically they cannot, function as they used to as a terrorist organization.
They're no longer a fighting force, not the way they were.
Yes, then they reached a ceasefire agreement with Israel, meaning Lebanon reached a ceasefire agreement with Israel that there will be no fighting for 60 days. Okay, successful, not successful.
That's so they had the Iranians lose power.
Yes.
The Syrian army is losing power. The Russians are losing power because they're busy
They're focused in Ukraine.
Israel is gaining strength, and Hezbollah is essentially eliminated.
Yes.
And then they take action.
Yeah, and then they see all this happening, and they think, okay, Assad is super weak now, let's attack.
Let's strike.
Yeah. And then in one day, boom, they capture Aleppo, second largest city in Syria. The next few days later, boom, Damascus is fallen. All the Syrian military abandoned their posts, just leave it for grabs. At that second, or that time, the Israeli Air Force carries out more than 400 targeted strikes on all this.
In a day.
In one day.
In a day.
Yeah. All the aerial force on Bashar al-Assad, meaning the helicopters, the fighter jets, the airplanes,
are eliminated on the ground.
The tanks.
Tanks are part of the aerial force.
No, I moved into the ground forces now. The Navy, the boats, the weapon stockpiles, the chemical weapons factories, which is very important. All of them were destroyed within a few hours.
There are other rebel groups. There are rebel groups in eastern Syria, in the southern part of the Israeli Golan Heights, and each one of them has its own agenda and its own target, and we can't allow them to suddenly show up at our border with tanks and helicopters.
Yeah, so on top of taking the strategic points on the buffer zone and on the Hermon Mountain, the IDF began digging a trench.
Between Israel and Syria, there's a really big physical barrier, and the physical barrier is called the Hermon Mountain range. And the Hermon Mountain range is the minority of it. I think we have an eighth of it on the Israeli side.
The lowest one.
The lowest one. So we're at about 2,200 meters, I think, on the Israeli side. And then the Syrian side is both higher and much larger, much bigger mountain range. And Shaldag takes over, in a very, very swift movement, takes over the remaining part of it. We get these amazing images.
Yeah, with tanks,
the Israeli soldiers in the snow on Syrian Hermon.
Yeah.
We didn't have to shoot a single bullet to take over the Hermon. The reason being is that there was a power vacuum created. And unlike past events, the IDF said we can't allow others to fill this vacuum, so let's go in. And we did. We took over the Hermon, we took over these key geographical positions immediately.
And it looks like we had the plans ready from before
Absolutely.
To do it. So we didn't wait, we didn't ask permission from the international community to go in and to take control.
Well, we've seen what that's done.
Yeah, right.
If you've stuck with us so far, make sure to pause this video for a sec, press the subscribe button, like and share this video, and make sure someone else gets to enjoy this content.
Take a look at this huge mountain that we're seeing right next to us. This is the Hermon Mountain that's on the news every day.
We're on a ridge, the Ramim Ridge. It separates between Lebanon being able to fire into the Jewish communities in the valley over there and over there.
Millions of houses, you can see it, houses, agricultural farms, communities.
Instead of firing directly, they can't do that. The Hermon Ridge prevents the Syrians from doing the same thing, from flooding into northern Israel. And we've been at war on both fronts. We just finished, it's been, by the time people see this, it's going to be 3 to 4 weeks. People are going to see that we finished with Lebanon and Hezbollah. But over here, Syria, this is where things have just happened the last couple of weeks.
Just beginning. We don't know what will the future hold in this area, but we are prepared. I mean, the IDF is taking key positions in order to prevent from terrorist groups to infiltrate Israel easy.
We've learned that the UN cannot be trusted. And UNIFIL, let's call the peacekeepers, and I'm making the most cynical air quotes.
Not peacekeepers.
They're not peacekeeping peacekeepers. That they can't be trusted, and that other armies are not gonna, they're not gonna step in when it's our security. They'll always say, "Well, show restraint and this and that." And no, we need to control the key locations. We need to make sure that they can't can't come into Israel. They can't threaten our civilians. And after spending time these last couple of days up in northern Israel, it becomes so clear.
Yeah.
It's so clear that we must protect these communities, that we should never give up any piece of land in this region, that we should always be strong on the borders and make sure that whatever terrorist group it is and whatever the Iranians sort of
we're ready.
concoct, we're ready, we're strong, we're present on the border, even if it means that me and you are doing reserves till we're 65 years old.
Hopefully a little before that. If the IDF and the intelligence wouldn't monitor these terrorist groups and whatever is happening in Syria, we wouldn't be able to take these strategic positions so fast and so effectively. Okay? But on a daily basis, on a political level to the West, it's very hard to monitor something that is a different language.
Well, it's very expensive too.
Yeah.
And this is where we get to the interesting part of this. A great resource that we use on a regular basis is the material that comes out of an organization called MEMRI.
Yes.
They're the Middle East Research Institute.
They are located in Washington, D.C., and they have offices in Jerusalem, but they operate all over the world. They monitor Arab media outlets, translate whatever they're saying into English, and then distribute it in the United States mainly in order to give the politicians, the policy decision makers, all the defensive establishment, organizations, the information they need in order to make a decision, in order to plan, in order to act. So if you want to help MEMRI do more of this vital work, go to the website at www.supportmemri.org. It's a 501c3 organization, meaning that your donations are tax deductible in the United States. So thank you so much for this help, and keep praying for the peace of Jerusalem. For the past year, the north was almost empty from tourism, empty from Israeli visitors that come and spend a Saturday here, spend a weekend here. But immediately when the ceasefire was announced, and immediately after the IDF took these strategic locations, the security and the people of Israel started to come back to the north. I mean, our hotel, the David's Harp Hotel in the Galilee, on the Sea of Galilee, is packed with Israelis. They want to celebrate.
100% occupancy on the weekend.
It's
the first weekend it's open.
Yeah, it was closed because of the war. So it's just amazing to see that people of Israel are rushing back. And
I think it's also encouraging, because the reason the north was mostly empty wasn't because any government said don't come.
Yeah.
It's because people, honestly, for good reason,
they didn't want to be in the rocket.
Didn't want to be shelled while they were on vacation.
Or they didn't want to go to a bomb shelter.
And it took, a week and a half, 2 weeks, and a couple sunny days, and everything bounced back.
Yeah, I think, the people of Israel, I don't know if it's because we're used to being under attack and not under attack, and this is our life, so we, make this switch really fast. But it's really amazing that this is the mentality and the resilience of the people of Israel. Guys, thank you for joining us on this day to the border with Syria, to the border with Lebanon. And as you see, the war is ongoing for more than a year now. I mean, it's been raging on multiple fronts. On the front for the media, which you guys are really helping us by subscribing, by sharing these videos with your friends, by knowing the truth. And then on the front for the spiritual realm. Basically, we need your help in prayer. Okay, so you need to understand what's happening and then help us pray for the situation.
And one last thing, Yair. Like, share, and subscribe.
Definitely.
We have to always say that.
And keep praying for the peace of Jerusalem.
Hello, this is Mati here in Jerusalem with TBN Israel.
This is Yair Pinto from TBN Israel here in Jerusalem. TBN Israel is keeping viewers informed with Israel-focused news, culture, and what God is doing in this land.
Support TBN Israel today online at tbn.org/Israel. Thank you.